Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I got something to confess, bro.
What's up? What you done did?
Why is it? Oh wow! I mean,
See,
last time I checked, it was a us. It was a we. We was
because
a team.
guilt needs company.
Oh.
He knows that he's in the wrong.
Mm.
He knows that he's responsible, but in his desperate bid to shift responsibility, this is what he
All right,
does.
no, let me try again. What happened?
Okay, so you know that thing you told us not to do? But we did it anyway.
You did it.
We did it. Okay, listen, you have to understand the way we operate, we could pop off at any time in a discussion. And so,
You did.
well,
You did.
well, I just felt like you should know because the next episode took place while we were breaking bread. And I didn't feel like, I felt in the spirit you would not be best pleased.
And we would have
Did you hear that?
actually
sound?
involved you, but you wouldn't even answer your phone. So I mean,
This is true. We did try to get permission.
yeah.
We did.
Mm.
Nah, I kind of feel like y'all called me right in the middle of the recording just to blame me. Here he go again, y'all.
My word.
I'm just saying. I just needed you to be prepared.
Vile and libelous accusations.
You already put it on the site. Did you already put it
No, it's not up yet. But I needed you to be prepared so that you wouldn't call with that list of, now this is what you did, and don't do it again.
Okay. You know what? I ain't got to work tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and just... Baby, the post office open on Saturdays? But people aren't there for the... Yeah, okay.
You
Thank
hear
you.
this? You hear this?
So are we forgiven? Are we forgiven, Josh?
It depends on what it sounds like.
Okay, well, want to hear it? Here it goes. Welcome to For This Reason. I'm Bird.
And I'm Fish of BNF Ministry.
Thank you for joining us today as we further discuss God's definition of marriage then
And how it still applies to us today.
We hope this time together is enjoyable and educational.
Nah,
Yeah, no.
let's just have a good time. Oh, no. You're not trying to record that.
So, the comment we received back about episode 2 have us thinking a little bit about who would actually comment. And I say that there won't be a lot of male response because in what Daryl is teaching and explaining to us, it takes the men out of the place that our society has taught them that they're supposed to be in, and that is ahead of us. There's still, in my opinion, there's still the teaching, because we live in a patriarchal society, there's still the teaching that women are behind the men. You don't find a lot of husbands who will say, my wife walks beside me. Most men won't support that idea outside of the home. They will still mentally, emotionally, and at times verbally support what I say is archaic now, that the woman is behind him as a support. But if you even look at how we define support in our class, support is not always behind you. It can be on the side of you, it can be in front of you, it can be underneath you, it can be above you. But that's not what we've been taught, or still being taught in most cases. So I'm saying that the possible response you may get will probably be more likely the wives.
Well, and even with that, though, I mean, the whole point of support is to cover what's not covered. And so even if the wife is behind the husband, that's not really saying that she's in a lesser position. It means that she may be covering the things that he's not looking at. She may be covering the things that he's not focused on. Not the unimportant things, but just the parts that he is not able to get to.
But that's not how it's taught.
I understand. The other thing that I think is kind of funny in this day and age is that for the ladies, and I'm going to lose all of my female fans with this, there is the rush to have equality, the rush to say that you're an equal member and an equal contributor until there's a call for accountability. And then there's the, well, you're the head of the household.
I object.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
No. I'm kidding. I've heard it.
We've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up hearing that a lot. And I've watched in the past, growing up, where women fought to be treated as equals or just to be acknowledged. You know, coming up in the church in the 90s was different. You know, I like to think that I came through a couple of decades that kind of gives me a mixed perspective on some things, especially the setup of the household. You know, born in the man is the head and he's the first, he's where the buck stops. Raised in, well, I don't know about that because I do a lot to support what he does. But then as I became an adult, my generation is saying, oh no, we're doing this too. And we won't be pushed to the back.
And I think the problem with that a lot of times, though, is that there is the push for equality without accountability. There is the push to say that I will do what I want. I will say what I want. I'm an equal part of this. I have equal say. I have. But when the rubber meets the road, there's looking at the husband going, so how are you going to fix this?
I'm wondering if we're referencing times where most men don't like to be reminded or, you know, quote unquote, nagged about things. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a level of nagging. Yes, there is. Like, I understand that is not imaginary. There are some women who nag, and I've met some men who nag. So nagging, I won't say is specific to gender. But where I've seen it become a real issue in a relationship is when you dig down to why do you feel this person is nagging? What we uncover a lot of times is the missed opportunities or the many times that someone had the opportunity to take care of something and did not. So now that it's dire, how is that nagging?
Because missed opportunities on one part does not necessarily equate to missed opportunities on another. If you're doing your job and you're working and you're 100% doing whatever your job is, and you have a very stressful interaction, and you take 10 minutes to say, you know what, I'm going to take a deep breath, or you take an hour to say, I'm going to take a deep breath, refresh my mind, get myself together before my next interaction on my job. There's a tendency for somebody else to take a look and say, well, in that hour, you could have done this other thing. Saying you had the opportunity, you had an entire hour, not understanding that you may not have been in the headspace, you may not have been in a position to do that.
I love your phrase of I didn't have the bandwidth. That makes so much sense to me because it's a reminder of, you have to have the capacity at times to deal with some things. And even though the time may be there, the capacity may not.
And that's the thing I find, especially in marriages, where a lot of times there's not the understanding of the other person's job. There's not the understanding of what the other person is doing while they're away from you. For example, I go out to a cell site and I fix stuff and I come back. And that's all you know.
Pretty much, because it's complicated.
Right. So the other day when I had to fix our devices and I had to pair our camera to some of our devices and make it work, and you saw what I had to do.
Oh, when I quit on our...
Right.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think in that moment you got an understanding of when I'm done with my entire day, I'm not really in the mood to take on another technical issue. And even if I am, I have to switch my brain pattern. I have to switch how I interact because I'm a different person at work than I am at home. I have to switch all of this. So even if I'm calling to talk to one of the kids, I can't talk to the kids like I talk to my coworkers.
True. No, you cannot.
I can't talk to the kids like I talk to my coworkers.
No, you cannot.
So when I come in and you're like, Did you call the kids? No, I didn't call the kids. Well, you had a whole hour to drive home. Yes. And talking to the kids during that hour would not have been beneficial for anyone.
Well, okay, honestly, after that night of the technology nightmare, because I quit after about an hour and some change, and I was trying to get you to quit, just trying to hook up cameras and phones, and our friend Alexa wasn't cooperating, and I'm whispering her name, but she heard me anyway. Cancel!
Sorry, I'm having trouble here.
I know, because I really wasn't talking to you.
I told you.
She's so nosy. But I really got a visual of what your day could actually turn into without notice. And what was funny is I was ready to give up, and you stuck it out for 3-4 hours until everything started cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
And I just shook my head because I'm going, oh, honey, I tapped out a long time ago.
Because in my world, you don't have that as an option. So
I can understand
the good
that.
things, you don't have that as an option. But when it gets bad, you still don't have that as an option. So from the time I pick up my work mind to the time I put down my work mind, it's whatever comes to me has to be dealt with. And I am the only one that can deal with it.
But, I can relate to that on the other side now that, we've been able to really kind of break that down and experience it on another level. The wife can actually go through that as well, because husbands can assume that the wife has easy days, especially if it appears that she doesn't have a stressful job.
Exactly.
But managing everything that goes on, she could begin to get low on bandwidth as well.
And that's the part I understand. That's where even if there's a housewife and the husband comes in, it's like, why isn't dinner made? Well, she spent the entire
I could
day
answer that. I can
chasing,
answer that 3 ways.
Chasing 3 kids, trying to get some cleaning done, trying to get some laundry done. One of the kids was sick, so she had to clean up that. And there's a whole bunch of things where at the end of the day, yes, she had an hour before you came home where all was peace and quiet. And she needed that hour to just totally recalibrate her mind, because here you come with your work mind.
Yeah.
So there has to be the understanding, and there has to be the empathy of the other. And one of the things I believe is still the concept of the benefit of the doubt. That if you see something not done, even if you see an opportunity for doing it and it's still not being done, you assume the goodwill of the person you're dealing with to say they must have seen that, and there must be a very good reason why they did not do that.
Now, I didn't come from that. I'm not going to assume the goodwill. Well, no, I didn't know how to assume the goodwill of the other person. What I grew up with is, why didn't you? Why didn't you? And you coulda, you shoulda, coulda, woulda.
And I remember that being one of our interactions, because you were fussing about something that I wouldn't do, and I was pointing out where I did it for you. And you were like, well, you don't have to do it. You can just point it out. And I'm like, I just figured you were busy, so I did it. With the hope that, not with a tit for tat mind that now I've done this, you're going to do it.
Right.
But the understanding I had was, if I walk in and this thing is not done, and you've been here all day and it's not done, there must have been something. I don't need you to tell me what it is. Mm-hmm. There must have been some reason why it wasn't done. So I do it, knowing that if you walk in and see something I don't do, you'll say, there must be a very good reason why he didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I'll do it.
And we have to be careful, because I think, too, a lot of times the gifts and talents that we're born with, when they're not properly guided, they can become issues in our personal life. Because one of the things that I noticed, but worded differently from you, once I met you, you made it sound more like a positive than a negative. For me, it was a negative because it's all I knew. But my ability to walk into a situation and see what's not working works great in the workplace most times, because I'm a systems person. Mm-hmm. But nobody taught me that I'm a systems person. I had to learn that along the way. What it was generally used for was to see what someone has done wrong and correct the situation. And that's what I heard growing up. That's what was demonstrated. But when I look back, many of us in my family do have that ability. And we're gifted with helping other people create systems or finding what's not working so you can fine tune your plan or your goals or whatever.
And that is truly a gift.
But we didn't know that that gift was not operating correctly in our personal life.
Well, I think the other side of that, though, is because for me, you're a systems person, I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people that know me just fell into just paroxysms of laughter.
Everybody loves you, babe.
Because I'm not a people person like that. But when I see something not working, I tend to look at the people involved.
You
and
do.
try to figure out what's keeping them
Mm-hmm.
from accomplishing the thing that they've set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you have to listen to some stories and you have to hear some things and find out exactly what it is. Why are they not fitting into the system?
I think that's why our counseling goes the way it does. We tag team a lot of times because you're the coach. I'll counsel and send them back to the coach, and you'll coach and send them back to the counselor when they hit a stumbling block.
Yeah, because if I can help you fit into the system or maybe adapt the system to tailor it to your strengths,
Mm-hmm.
then we have something going. Because it is not a matter of seeing who is messing up. It's a matter of finding out what is going wrong and how to fix it.
So bringing it back to being equal or side by side, like Adam and Eve, it's not about focusing on who's in the front. At any given time, it could be either one of us.
Right.
But it is not for recognition. It's not to say, see, I'm the one in charge this time or in this situation or whatever. What happens, I believe, is the situation calls for a particular gift. Whoever has it shows up.
Yeah. And it's not a competition to see who's in front more.
Right.
If the wife is at home taking care of the kids, then she's in front on the home front.
Mm-hmm.
She's in front on the discipline. She's in front on all of that. And the husband is supporting. If the husband is out there doing the financial part, then he's in front on the financial part. If the wife's out there doing the work part and the husband's taking care of the home, then the husband is taking care of the home and he is the forefront. He is the go-to point person on that. In there, he is the lead and she is the assistant. It's not a matter of fighting for honor, fighting for glory. Even Jesus said when he came in all humility. He did not come to say that he was the Son of God. He came to do a job. Now, in our marriages, how often are we trying to do our job, as opposed to how often are we trying to establish the role that society has developed for us?
Yeah. You mentioned one particular thing, or you were saying, if the husband is better with the financial part, and what I'm finding more and more now are women are better, but they're not getting the opportunity to share the gift. I just got a phone call last week about that in a particular relationship. And, why won't their significant other trust them to do the finances because they're better? And what I think I heard was the fact that you're saying you're better could come across offensive. And it may be true that you're better, but better how? It's not that men can't pay bills. Because they can't. And nowadays, what do? Just hit a button, Yeah. It's not hard to pay bills today. I think the difficulty comes with who has the ability to organize the payments and when they need to be paid.
And I think it goes before that, though, also into a vision of what is it that your household looks for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know there's some households where, yes, the woman would pay all of the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give her all of the money, she'll pay all of the bills.
Mm-hmm.
No food.
Just the utilities and the rent and whatever.
No entertainment, no all the things that we encourage our couples to do to maintain the romantic. But them
Just
bills,
the bills, sir.
them
Just
bills
the
are paid.
Well, and here's the thing. Just because one person is gifted in doing something doesn't mean a conversation doesn't need to be had. For example, whatever I do financially, I know you trust me, but I still don't make a move until we talk about it. I feel like you should always be in the know. And that's not you giving me permission. That's me respecting the fact that it's both of us running this ship. Not you, not me, but both of us. So if at any given time, one of us needs to do something, it still warrants a conversation. not permission, but
And
let
that's
me
the
just tell you what I had to do today.
And that's the difference, I think, because I think sometimes when a spouse comes in to tell their significant other, hey, this is my plan, there's this long laundry list that they get, which encourages them to say, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to inform you of a decision based on, how we have agreed for our family to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I say it goes back to what is your vision for your marriage? Because if your vision for your marriage is to have entertainment time and entertainment funding, and you have one person who's trying to pay every single bill ahead of time because you should.
It's a right thing to do, but it doesn't always.
It's a good thing to do,
okay.
but not necessarily always the right thing.
Right,
to do.
right.
So
that sounds weird when it comes to paying bills, but it's that health of your relationship that sometimes you have to hit the brakes.
Right. But then it comes into, he didn't want to pay the light bill because he wanted us to go to dinner. Yes, but no.
But underneath that, he just wanted time with you.
He wanted time with you outside of the house.
Yeah.
And he knew that the light bill could be put off for a week and still have the payment made.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that fiscally sound? Probably not. Is that relationally sound? Probably. It's a discussion that has to be had. Where you take the financial aspect of it, you take the who is in control, who's right, who's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the other part of it. The argument a lot of times is about who's right and who's wrong. And it's not, the question is not whether you want to be right or wrong, it's do you want to be married?
Right. And see, bringing it back to you and I, for a person who's like me, and I'm the systems person, what works for me, and we're still working at this, is if you did make a decision, you know what, we haven't been out, I want to just go on a date night, I'll get to that light bill next week. In my mind, when you come and say, hey, we're going out to dinner tonight, and I know the light bill is due, I know what what's in the bank. What helps me is I already took care of that. It'll be on such a date, so we could do this today. And that's not because I just need to know, but in my mind, the systems person, somebody just put a stick in the wheel and our machine is not going to move forward.
So the question there, though, is what if you don't know? What if you know that there will be money coming in and it will get paid, but I cannot tell you today, when we have these dinner reservations for this evening, when that will happen? That's
something, like I said, still working on.
So,
because again, the systems person is, well, there's okay, don't get me. I don't know my tools from, but there's a screw missing, so we might fall apart. There's a nut not screwed on tight, so while we're rolling and having a good time, we could have an accident.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where. So that's the middle ground that I always try to find.
Yeah.
Because for
and
that,
I'm working on
the systems person has to be able to back away and say, okay, somehow we can make this happen. Mm-hmm. Because I do know that there is a paycheck coming in. Mm-hmm. And I do know that paycheck should come in before we run into any sort of serious difficulties. Mm-hmm. So we will go along with this with the understanding that I don't know. Because a lot of times that's what the problem is. It's not that the system is not running or anything like that. It's that you don't know. And when it comes to you don't know, then we're getting into the verge of control.
Now, I will say that is an issue for me, not knowing. So that can come into play with some of my responses at times. Not intentionally, but that is an issue that I know I have. Like, to be in the dark is not okay for me. But that stems from childhood and situations taking me by surprise that I had no control over. Yet those situations affected me heavily.
Right.
But I had no say-so in it.
So that's one of the things where we have to, and it's something we encourage our couples to do, mm-hmm. is to separate what is learned from your history from what is happening in your relationship. You came up in a family, in a history where certain things happened and certain things didn't. Mm-hmm. And so when you behave in your relationship as if the person that you're married to is going to do the things that happened to you in your childhood, you're carrying them with a brush that they didn't pick. You're putting them in a position to behave and making them accountable for behavior that they really didn't do. So if you come from a childhood of uncertainty and that uncertainty was drastic, and you marry someone who you said, well, when are you going to pay that? I don't know, probably sometime next week. And you flip out because you need a date and a time. That's not necessarily because of them. That's because of something that happened when you were 6. Is it fair to hold them accountable for something that happened when you were 6? Because the thing that we do a lot of times is we hold people accountable for what happened in our childhood. The bad things, of course, they have to make sure the bad things don't happen. We don't give them credit for the good things that happened in our childhood.
True. So how do you separate that from someone who is just irresponsible?
That is a whole and entire different conversation.
Because they do exist.
No, there are people who are truly, honestly irresponsible. But in our dealings, the first thing that we have to do is to ensure that when we are dealing with a person, like you like to say when you're talking to somebody, I'm not talking to the other person, I'm only talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that comes in when you're talking to somebody. I'm not talking to my past, I'm only talking to you. I'm only talking to your irresponsibility. Now, I've dated irresponsible people before. I have irresponsible people in my family, and I've had it up to my neck with irresponsible people. And here you come. But I can only...
You could have left that last line out, but okay.
Yeah. But I can only deal with you on the level of your irresponsibility or on the level of your whatever negative trait you bring. I can only deal with you on yours. It is unfair for me to deal with you on the traits of anybody else because we don't want that.
So so you're answering my question, but there's another part to that.
Yeah, of course.
I got that part, but...
You know how many podcasts we got to do?
Oh, yeah, this is probably going to be a separate one after, the listeners get to it. But still, if a person is found to be irresponsible, just because they are, how are you handling that? Is it the same way we pretty much do everything else? Because something caused them to be that way. In my mind, remember systems, I'm already digging. Well, why are you malfunctioning? Let's go look.
So the first thing to see is that there are levels of responsibility. And I'm going to make just about everybody go nuts with this one. Not all irresponsibility is a bad thing.
What? Oh, yeah, you got
one
this
of the things. Okay. So we come home on a Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know that bills are out there. Know that this has to be done, that has to be done. The house got to be clean. Dishes need to be done. Laundry needs to be done. Those are called what? Responsibilities. I say, hey, let's go see a play. You haven't been out in a while. That is irresponsible. No, you don't see it.
Really?
Isn't there? There are things.
Wait, let me do it. Is it really? Did I do it right?
Yeah. There are things that need to be done.
Okay.
They're not being done. I haven't given you a date for them. I haven't given you a time for them. I haven't addressed the fact that they exist.
Oh, that's wrong. Wait. No. That's not fair. Okay, it sounds like...
that not
Hold
your
on,
definition?
wait, because it sounds like if you're doing it for the sake of having a good time, it's okay to be irresponsible. No. That's how it's coming across. Okay, all right.
What I'm saying is that there's a benefit sometimes that out of irresponsibility is born spontaneity sometimes. It's about being manageable. Because just as rigid and as formal as you are a systems person, there is a tendency for the system to override everything.
True
and
that.
Right. But there are times when the system is beneficial. Well, there is a time where irresponsibility overrides everything. So there's a time... So are you saying just your side of the system is beneficial?
No, we won that war a long time ago. Well, you won that a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying is we have to be honest and we have to be true. Some of the people that we marry, some of the people that we relate to, we love them because of that spontaneity. We love them because of that. Hey, I am going to Paris this weekend. What? You can't. I have tickets. I have this. I have that. I'm going to Paris.
Oh, yeah. Now you say Paris. Everything's getting dropped. We'll take care of it when we get back.
Oh, see? Now you're willing to compromise the system.
It's Paris!
Those are moments that we enjoy.
Right.
Hey, I thought you were going to get that tire fixed. Now I'm on the side of the road. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do that. I was in Paris. Those are the moments we don't enjoy. What we have to understand is that with one comes the other. They go hand in hand.
Okay. I'll give you that. I don't have an argument for that at the moment, and I probably won't. No. Listen, if it makes sense, it makes it more difficult for me to argue against it. So, however, if any of...
Note that she did not say impossible, just more difficult.
Wow. If any of our listeners has a rebuttal or a comment, or perhaps a debate...
Any of our listeners not named Jamie Nunnally.
Oh, goodness. Please feel free to send them in to us, and we will definitely continue the conversation for you. So thank you guys again for tuning in and listening to how we translate the interactions of marriage based off of what God gave us then and how we apply them today.